Whatever you're gonna do it fast. Aliens mac and cheese. Next.
You're going out there to destroy them, right? Not to study, not to bring back, but to wipe them out.
That's the plan.
All right, people, on the ready line. Are you me? Yeah! Are you me? Yeah! Get on the ready line, Marine! Get something to die! Get on the ready line!
Get your light up here.
Keep back, don't scare her.
Movement! Talk to me, Hudson!
I got signals. I got readings in front and behind.
There's nothing back here.
Look, I'm telling you, there's something moving and it ain't us.
Get them out of there!
How could they cut the power, man? They're animals. There's movement all over the place. 5 meters, man. 4.
Aliens. This time, it's war.
When your weekend's all spin up and you got Monday coming down the pike, sometimes all you need is a little comfort to help you get you through to Monday. Mac and Cheese Movies, where we believe in comfort food and comfort movies. Hello, welcome to Mac and Cheese Movies. I'm Scotty Coppage, and he really is an okay guy, James Rumfeld.
Hello.
And he looks just like I feel, Drake himself, Mark Rolston.
Hey man, how's it going?
Hey, good to see you. And she only needs to know one thing, where they are. Vasquez herself, Jenette Goldstein, welcome to the show.
Hello. How you doing?
Hey, great. In honor of our movie Aliens, the food we made is good for you cornbread. I did Preppy Kitchen's amazing cornbread from YouTube, and you're supposed to add the dry ingredients with the wet ingredients, and put them in a hot cast iron skillet that's already been in an oven for 5 minutes at 425. And then when you pour the ingredients in, you put it back in the oven for 25 minutes. I added jalapeno and bacon crumbles to it. When you pull it out of the oven, you're supposed to be able to flip the skillet and it falls onto a cookie sheet. And that's supposed to retain the heat and do all this awesome stuff.
How'd that go?
My cornbread was not yellow and nice looking. It looked like it got tagged by one of Ripley's bad guys. Brown and discolored. It doesn't fall out. I have to use a knife to pull this thing out of the skillet. And I was thinking, well, maybe this is all like in pieces, but it will taste fine. I don't know if it was the jalapeno or the me not whisking, maybe not get into a KitchenAid mixer, something in it, but it was so bad.
I'm not exaggerating because we're like recording. It was the worst thing I've ever had in my life. It tasted like pure baking soda or something.
It was like straight up salt in the cornbread. It's like the salt didn't get mixed up, but it's in every bite. And I don't know really what happened here.
There's usually a food guy. But
yeah, I lathered it in butter, hoping for that's going to salvage it and kind of do some sweetness. It did not. And that's the thing with this show. Sometimes we cook something like that really works, and a lot of times when we cook something, it blows up in our face, like today. And Joel, who's not here today, he's usually been doing our food dishes for a bit here. He does amazing work for us, and I want to give you a description of like what he was going to do for Aliens. He was going to do a Japanese alien egg salad sandwich, and here's his description. Japanese egg salad is a big thing right now. I prepare it like normal, except I'd prepare the eggs like they do with ramen egg and soak it in soy sauce to make it brown. I'd use something black like squid ink to color it black. Go a little further and pickle some daikon and some Thai chili onion to go in this salad, and teach myself how to make a traditional Japanese milk bread. So instead of this, we have my cornbread that got nuked from orbit.
So bad. Are either of you guys good cooks? Are you a good cook, Mark?
I am.
Yeah.
He is.
I'm a baker. I love food. And I can commiserate about the cornbread not falling out of the skillet.
It was Jenette.
We all have disasters, but the general rule is you like when in doubt, butter, and it's bound to taste halfway decent.
Not this.
I'm sorry, yours was a complete disaster.
Jenette, are you a good cook?
All right. Nothing compared to Mark. Mark is the pro. Absolutely. I'm nervous because I'm having him and his wife over for dinner next week, and I got to up my game.
I'm bringing dessert.
That's right. He's making dessert. I know.
Just order out and throw the containers out.
You should just Mrs. Doubtfire it and just order stuff in and make it look like you cooked it.
Yes.
Right. Yes. There you go.
I'm also terrible at cooking. So.
No, I'm decent. But Mark is he was you weren't a chef. You were a sommelier, right?
No, I was a sous chef in New York for a brief moment, and took all the skills I learned from there. Like tomorrow's Mother's Day. Mm-hmm. My wife wants eggs Benedict in the morning, so it's like, all right, we'll whip that up for you. It's interesting when you're working in a kitchen, you get to know a lot of the different, just methodology and skills to create endless dishes. But I love baking and just love food in general. My wife and I are foodies through.
Yeah. Absolutely. We went to Japan together. We went to the Tokyo Comic-Con and Okinawa
that's awesome.
Comic-Con for the Marines. And you took us to some of the most expensive restaurants we went.
What's your favorite?
They were great, though. Yeah. We had this one evening we went in Okinawa, this young man who was acting like a guide of sorts and translator. But I said, listen, Gabe, I want to go to the best sushi joint here in Okinawa. He said, God. So he takes us to this place way up on a hillside overlooking Okinawa, the bay, and it's called Yoshidashi, which means like Yoshi's house. But this guy Yoshi had an amazing business here in California on Ventura Boulevard. He had this tempura house, and he was famous. I mentioned him to my buddy when I got back home, and my buddy Jason was like, I know Yoshi. Oh my God, I went to his restaurant all the time.
That's cool.
But yeah, we had a fantastic time.
Yeah. He's the guy who had pictures of all the 70s. It had Charles Bronson and him on the wall. And,
that's so cool.
Presidents, generals, movie stars. I mean, it was crazy. And then the kid acting as a translator happened to mention to them that, Jenette and I were in movies, and they were like, oh, unbeknownst to us, a group of people came in and sat down and they were eating. This was his family. He was so excited to have us. He told his family to come over. And then when we were finished with our meal, we took these extraordinary photographs with Yoshi where he brought out these samurai swords and had us,
That's so cool, man.
and hold the sword in a specific way. It was hysterical.
That's awesome. I'm not only terrible at cooking, I'm not even good at I don't even eat good food. I don't even know good food to eat. It would be cool to go get dinner with you guys so you could tell me what to order.
We'll have to go to Tokyo together.
Yeah, let's go see Yoshi.
Oh gosh, yeah, the food in Japan was pretty amazing.
The camera guy Ben, he was in the Navy, was stationed over there, and always talks about how amazing Japan was. I've never been over there, but
yeah,
you should go. It's the dollar's really strong, and it's beautiful. You thought it was an amazing experience, didn't you, Jenette?
Oh God, yeah. It was incredible. I mean, definitely because the dollar was really strong, but it was just I'd never been to the East. And it was the trains and just the people and the countryside versus the cities. It was a trip of a lifetime, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, gotta go.
I would die to go back there.
Now we will get to our mac and cheese movie, Aliens. According to the legends of Letterboxd, when Ripley's life pod is found by a salvage crew over 50 years later, she finds that terraformers are on the very planet they found the alien species. When the company sends a family of colonists out to investigate her story, all contact is lost with the planet and colonists. They enlist Ripley and the Colonial Marines to return and search for answers. So first taste, first time you saw the movie, your relationship to it, why is it a mac and cheese movie?
I don't remember Transformers and Aliens, but...
It says terraformers.
The terraformers.
Because they were talking about it makes the air...
The machine on the planet that, like... that's what the colonists were sent there to, like, prep it for... Yeah, not Transformers, terraformers.
Copy. Yeah, I mean, the first time I saw it was at the premiere.
Right.
Which was extraordinary. I mean, we were all dressed to the nines, and all the executives in suits were out, and I got to sit next to Bill Paxton. The one moment I remember was when the first, alien pops out. All the people in their tuxedos leapt into the air. It was like this wave. And, we're shouting, and, and Bill grabbed my arm and he was like, "Oh, dude, this is going to be so cool. It's going to be so awesome." But yeah, it's a roller coaster. I mean, yeah, it just drives you. It's nonstop. It's fantastic. It's like the first time we read the script. I mean, you could not stop reading it. It was just, you were talking about a page turner, right?
Yeah. What do you mean by a mac and cheese movie? You mean that you said it's like comfort food, right?
Yeah, it's like a movie. It's a comfort movie. Like, you know what? It's like a Sunday. I'm gonna pop in Aliens. I'm gonna something I've seen like 100 times that I can still watch and I still love it.
You guys are in more than one of those, by the way. Shawshank Redemption's definitely like that. Terminator 2, like movies I've seen hundreds of times in my life. Aliens is for sure one of those.
I usually think it's because, for me, you could, I don't know, there's something to discover in every frame. You can discover something different. You could focus on one actor's performance and just kind of follow them, or look at the back, or look at that's what I do when a movie is like a classic. I would call it a classic and watch it over and over. I'll discover something new each time I watch it.
I think that's definitely true of Aliens. Yeah. Where was the premiere at? Do you?
Was it in Westwood?
Westwood,
in Los Angeles, in Westwood Village.
And you guys were not stateside at that time, right? And you guys decided to come on over for it.
Yeah. We decided to come over together. We went on the same plane, and actually, and Mark stayed at my folks. I stayed with my folks. He stayed also. Yeah.
Dude, I love that you guys are like really friends. That my brothers are gonna freak out that you guys are like really friends. That's really great.
Yep, we're really friends.
And on the film, the reason, what cemented our friendship, I think, is that, we were strapped into our guns from morning till we broke for lunch. That was the only time they let us de-rig. And so it provided a lot of idle time when Jen and I were just sat holding weapons. But we got to know each other extremely well. Right. While everyone else was Paxton, Liza were having a good time and telling jokes. Yeah. Oftentimes the conversation went like, "How are you doing?"
Not so good. You're back in.
A little bit.
Mine too. Did you dream about wearing this thing last night?
Oh my God, yeah. I woke up a couple times because the harness, it has metal pieces, and with the weight of the gun, it would just sit on your shoulders. And there were a couple nights I jolted out of bed and going, "Oh my God, I thought I had it on still."
Sure.
Exactly.
Oh, it's crazy. And and Jenette, most of all, she had to have this thing completely altered because they designed these Steadicam harnesses, of course, for men, right?
Right.
Well, yeah.
I was gonna say,
there were no women operators at that time, of course. So they found the one of the shortest, operator they could. I think he was like 5'8", 5'6", something like that, and figured, I'd be at least that tall. And I'm barely 5'2", so it was a stretch.
Different experience for Jenette than it was for Mark.
Yeah, it was heavy. I still have that sciatica due to that.
Wow.
It could have been because of a pregnancy, but I'm going to blame it on the Steadicam.
How much do you think the rig weighed? Do you have any idea if you had to guess, like, with it on?
It was over 100 pounds. I mean, the gun itself was like 70 pounds.
Right.
The hardest was like 35, and
yeah, that's a long day.
The amount of duct tape they put on us, that probably pushed it over 120.
That's a long day, man.
The whole planet was duct taped. That's what.
Yeah.
That's a life lesson, by the way.
You can fix anything with duct tape?
Duct tape.
Sure can.
I talked to a guy once that was a survivalist and said, you know, if you got to pick something to take into the woods to survive, like, duct tape is excellent because you can do so much with it. Anyways.
Wow.
Like, he was talking about, like, you could make shoes with it and build shelter with it and different things if you had to. Anyway.
Yeah.
Cool.
You'd need a lot of, wow.
Yeah, you would. Yeah.
Like, on the first taste for me, like 1991 was the year of Terminator 2. And then when you hear James Cameron, what else did he do? And it's like Aliens. Asked my parents if I can rent Aliens. They're like, well, it might be too scary. My dad was like, you need to watch the first one before we watch Aliens. And the first one's a kind of different tone, different pacing.
Yeah.
So it was really kind of like eating my vegetables before we get to Aliens, which is the banana split. And, you know, all the James Cameron stuff, all the stuff, the cast, like the lines, like everything about Aliens. So it becomes like one of my favorite movies. So that's kind of, for my whole life, it's like eternal. It's like Back to the Future, it's Star Wars. It's one of those movies.
Yeah, same for, my dad was Army. We were living in Hawaii at the time, and we were like early adopters. I put in here, we were early adopters to like HBO and cable when it first came out. And Aliens was just one of those movies that was rolling. My dad was also early adopter of like video piracy with VHS. You know, he would just like record movies off of cable all the time. And Aliens was just this movie that we watched all the time. And all these one-liners from there, I was telling Scotty, like, to this day, my dad's like 66 years old. If anyone says anything about it getting dark outside or dark, somewhere in the room, my dad, he will whisper like, they mostly come out at night. Mostly. Like, he says it every single time. So it was just one of those movies that was in our house all the time that we all loved.
My dad used to have his screen saver set to Game Over, man. That was,
yeah. Why don't you put her in charge?
Yeah.
There's a lot of. I feel like he got a lot of the best one-liners Paxton did.
He did.
I mean, it's crazy that whatever you're gonna do it fast.
Yeah.
I can't believe that was just me improvising because all the sparks were shooting in my face, you know, while I'm welding without a visor.
Yeah.
And people say, we say that all the time to our kids when we're trying to get everything into the car.
Yep. I thought I brought that scene up actually my girlfriend had never seen this movie. We watched it the other night in prep for this for my 1000th time, but she was seeing it for the first time and she's not a sci-fi fan and just like she was locked in the whole time. But in that scene, I was like, I've never noticed that Vasquez is welding that without a visor. But she's super tough, so she's fine, I guess.
Yeah, a number of things I think happened on set that wouldn't happen on sets today. Like even Jenette and I firing like full rounds, dummy rounds. I mean, they were loud as hell. And, you know, God bless Jim Cameron for all of his creativity and design. But when he designed our smart guns, they pinged us. The shells were coming out of the canister and just like pinging us in the head. It's a wonder we didn't get hit in the eye.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. I was getting hit in the face when I was inside that enclosed space in the vent.
Oh,
right.
Yeah. So they were coming toward me as I'm shooting, you know, at the camera with their shield, but everything was bouncing back in my face, and I kept, you know, like wincing. And he finally said, "Okay, we need one take, Jenette. I know it hurts, but I don't think Vasquez would wince, so I gotta have one clean take without you wincing as things are hitting you in the face."
Man.
So,
yeah, the behind the scene things with the fire thing and the APC, that sounded very scary. When Drake buys it, anyways. Wow.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, the fire when I unfortunately kill my comrade, the heat from the flamethrower set off this sort of toxic fumes inside the APC, and
right.
that they painted something to age the inside of the APC, and I guess you were not supposed to heat it, so they had to reset, and then they did the fire effect with not with a live fire, but with a fire effect. But yeah,
scary.
That was that was a scary moment.
Are those days over? Like with real fires, like on set?
Yeah, Mark was using his first day was quite something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pyrotechnic event. I mean, I had the fully lit flamethrower that shot, a burst of flame 25 yards, fell in amongst flame bars. There was toxic chemicals on the death mask that they pumped in that were activated by water and were toxic. Like I had to hold my breath the whole time I was doing the take. And then when it was finished, two huge guys picked me up, put me in front of a helicopter fan just to blow the toxic stuff away.
Jeez.
And then I could breathe.
You guys will probably live forever. You were probably exposed to things that you shouldn't, and you're superheroes. You'll live forever.
You're like X-Men, yeah.
Well, you got a fan. I mean, Mark, I had one of those same things happen in Near Dark. So at the end, the last scene where, I don't want to, spoiler alert if you've never seen Near Dark, but where I burn up as we drive into the sun. My face is starting to sizzle, and so it's starting to, so they did the same kind of effect on me, but they couldn't get I was in a car. They couldn't get the guy in there with a fan. So I had to use my hand while, kind of just flap my hand around while acting. My hand was flapping the stuff away. So you have like tears are in my eyes, and it's just like my eyes just burning from the toxic, from the chemicals. But it looked good. It looked good.
Yeah. That's cool.
I mean, yeah.
It's like
what we do for film magic, right?
Yeah.
Right.
The shot lives forever.
That's true. That's true.
How did you guys get the roles? What was the audition process like?
It was the ordinary thing. You got a call from your agent saying, "Hey, you got a meeting for this movie called Aliens." You didn't read a script. I mean, I was aware of Alien, but I didn't even know if they were connected. I mean, when met Galen Hurd, who was Jim's wife at the time, and met with her. I actually lied. I mean, I told the biggest yarn of my life. You walk into a room, they say, "So what have you been up to?" I just been on this movie Revolution with Al Pacino. I was only supposed to be on the movie for 2 weeks, and I was there for 2.5 months, and played one main character, and then it was background as well in some other scenes. But when I was in the interview with Gail, I told her, I said, I made it sound like I had the next best role to Al Pacino. But it worked, a week or so later, I got called in to meet with Jim and Gail and read with them. And then the last time was going out to Pinewood Studios, where they finally handed you the script and said you were in the film, which was phenomenal. I mean, I rushed home and just poured through that. I think I read the thing in like 40 minutes. It was. So
did your agents not tell you what it was like, that, it was, they didn't tell you it was the second part of Alien? Now that it was a Marine, none of that?
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. Huh. No, it was just a meeting. It was a general meeting. That's all they said. Can't remember my first agent's name, but she had been in the business forever, and yeah, she was very sort of terse and bare bones. But yeah, there was no talk of it. I mean, for the second meeting, we finally got some sides, but we all read Hudson's lines.
Right.
So that's kind of funny.
Did you read did they give you that monologue to read also?
Yeah.
Oh, that's hysterical. Huh.
And then in the second meeting, after reading that, Jim was like, "Here, take these pages and read this." So, and I can't even recall if it was Drake or what it was, but yeah. And then they had the third meeting when they said that they wanted me to play Drake. There was a mandate. I mean, he said, "Look, there's one caveat. You have to bulk up." So I was training 5 days a week, being driven out to Pinewood Studios and drinking this amino acid thing that increased my metabolism. So all I wanted to do was eat and I got big. I was big.
You guys are both in incredible shape in that movie.
Jeanette put us all to shame.
Yeah. So my girlfriend saw it for the first time, and I was going to talk about that later, but I don't want to forget. She was like, "If you mention nothing, please tell Jeanette her arms look incredible in that movie." And my dad would always comment in the beginning when you guys are doing the pull-ups, and my dad would always be like, "He's doing the easier version. Like she's doing the hard pull-ups, and you were really doing that." Like,
I mean. It's funny hearing how, guys bulk up and they just drink this thing and they work out, because women, it doesn't work that way. A little bit lack of testosterone. I mean, that was the product of 2 years of intense training, me going to the gym and just being a gym rat. It was just that I was a tomboy as a girl and all like that. And then I just happened to live around the corner from a gym where the Mr. Britain worked out at. Oh. And so there were no women working out there. I would go. And so that was the best shape I'd ever been in my life. And it was a complete coincidence that I had just finished, this competition. I just thought it'd be kind of fun to see if I could, place or whatever. I tied for 5th in a group of 5 out of 6 contestants. So that's where I was. I mean, this was, I was not a bodybuilder anyway, but, I just happened to walk into the audition looking like that. And they just were like, "Oh, you're a bodybuilder. I thought you were an actress." I said, No, I am an actress. I did this weird thing, Yeah. And so I did the same thing. So I read the same thing. I read for Paxton's part, and they gave me that to read, and they gave me Vasquez, and it was the same process as the guys went through.
Did you have, because Mark was saying he didn't have any of the information up front, and you had kind of made a comment there. Did you have more information about what you were reading?
I had less than. Well, it's funny. I thought I had no agent.
Oh, okay.
So I had just sent my picture and resume in. It was in the actors paper. I forget what it was called then. They were just, so I just, those kind of things you send it in, you never hear. So I just got a call. I'd say the same thing, but I didn't get any information. For 1 second, I thought, I saw Alien, but that can't be the second part. It's been 8 years or something.
Sure. And they didn't do sequels back then, right? Like, not really, that were successful. For movies, I mean.
I didn't hear what the question.
Sorry, I was saying, like, sequels weren't, for younger people that don't necessarily realize that, like, sequels weren't popular then. Like, if you were making a sequel, it usually wasn't very successful. So the fact that this came out and was so huge, like bigger than the first one.
Right, certainly unusual. And then, usually when somebody makes a sequel, company, they make it right away to capitalize on the success of the first
8 years later,
You don't wait that long. So that's why I was like, nah. And then also the other thing that kind of sent me in a different direction was they were looking specifically in the ad for North Americans, Canadians and Americans who had British equity status. And in England, your green card is your resident alien card. So I thought, maybe it's a film about sort of, immigrants. You marry your gay best friend to get your, your green card, your resident alien card. Maybe it was something they'd have. And that was just my, I think there was a movie made about that, wasn't there? Called Green Card or something with Andy McDowell.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was a rom-com. So I dressed up with a light wash of makeup. I did. I had a little lipstick on and a pair of pumps, and I thought it was some rom-com. So
that's so funny.
Completely wrong.
Yeah.
What was the camaraderie like on set? Because when you watch this movie, the Marines look really tight on screen. Is that an overflow from like you guys on set, or what is that like?
Oh yeah, we all became, and we're still friends. I mean, it's amazing, 37 years later. But no, we got the luxury of 2 weeks of rehearsal before filming began, which never happens. And so we got to train with each other and hang out with each other. And this is also how I became great friends with Mark. We go over to his house with his wife and his kid, and he cooked for us. But then we were on the film for so long together. It was great. We've been, like I said, we've been friends ever since, all of us.
That's so cool to me. Did they send you guys to like now if you were going to do like a military thing, they would send you to like a basic training thing. Like you said you had 2 weeks to rehearse, but did they give you guys like any kind of formal military training at all to prepare for it, or just like?
I wouldn't say it was so much formal, but they had British SAS guys and advisors who had been former military officers. They put us through our paces. I mean, certainly they put us through how to enter into a room, and cover each other and not, cover each other in a way where you're aiming your gun at each other.
Don't shoot anybody. Yeah.
And moving in formation and stuff. It's we went through all of that, but.
And Apone was ex-military, right?
Yeah, it was Al Matthews who really helped us hone what we were doing to make sure that we didn't make a false move, because if it wasn't real, he would shut us right down. So.
Right.
These Marines aren't soft and cuddly. They're like badasses in a way that you don't really see in blockbuster movies anymore. I think now like everyone's kind of quippy and maybe like one-linery, but like the stuff that's funny in this movie, like even if it's like, Drake, your camera's got a malfunction. You just like hit the camera against your seat. And is it because of the tension in this movie already that these lines kind of make it like kind of a relief for like humor? Or what when you read the script is like, oh, that's a funny part right there?
Yeah, I mean, you can see that was potentially comic moment, but Jim, he lived with this script for so many years, and that and 99% of it's in. The other 1% is Bill Paxton, because Bill was the only actor that Jim couldn't contain. Bill was always saying something that was off script, but Jim, I think it's brilliant. I mean, the way he captured the camaraderie and the reality. I mean, I can't tell you how many countless former military personnel come up to us and say, hey, you're the reason I joined the Corps, or hey, the reason we love your movie so much is because we believe it. You all were real. This is exactly the way we would behave and respond to an officer. And, so for sure, Al was like the axis, because it's almost like he was reliving stuff at times. He was a very interesting man. I really enjoyed meeting him, but he was complex too. I mean, he was carrying some scar from his time in Vietnam.
Yeah. That character's so believable.
Yeah.
Everybody did a great job in that movie, but
even with the cigar hanging out.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just.
But even his moment, like when Sigourney first gets in the loader, and like his moment there with
Hicks.
Yeah, Hicks. When he's chewing on the cigar, and she's like, "Where do you want it?" Like his laugh is so like believable in a way that like was just different. Like even when I was a kid, I remember the way that he was in that movie was just special in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, I think so much of it goes into the casting. I think Cameron really does respect actors, and you can tell, he may not say it, but you can tell the way he allowed us to create who we were and how we interacted, and the camera focused on the interactions. If you just watch the scene in the morning, and you don't look at who's talking, you look at the breakfast, and you look at people. That's what creates the reality of it, and why people. It's not the quips. So when somebody says something like, "Oh, I guess she didn't like the cornbread either," I mean, it's not the line that's funny. It's him in the scene and everyone else in the scene and what just happened, and that's what makes it funny. Is that it's a real living person saying that. And so when he died, you care about them.
Yes.
When they die, they're not just these fake stick figures.
And you really don't have that much time to care about them. Everyone's sold that, and Even as a kid, I remember watching that and being like, oh, these guys have been on ops together. Like, this is not their first rodeo together, not only as Marines, but like together. These guys have been on ops together. So I agree 100%. That's what always locked me in with all those characters.
And there is like a lot of movies try to do the same thing with like Marines or whatever, like kind of with sci-fi, and it seems like it would be like an easy formula to do, but none of them seem to really come off like that. Like and kind of like what you're saying, like every scene before leads up to the thing that really like people love.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch different films and kind of go like, God, no shade, but which is the one that they did? Was it Prometheus? Not Prometheus. The one where there was the Marines. What was the one that Ridley Scott did? Prequels.
Was it Alien Covenant?
Covenant, yeah.
Yeah, it was the Covenant one, and there was like, were they Marines? I don't remember what they were. They were scientists, but I was like, God, why didn't it work? Why didn't I understand I was like, is that the blonde one? Which one was that? I was like, I couldn't figure out who got killed and who, and I'm trying to think, you're trying to figure, so why do I not, as an audience member, you want to care about everyone?
Sure.
Like, a lot of times it's the writing, it's a mixture of many things. It's the writing, it's the acting, it's where the camera is placed. They don't spend enough time on what truly matters. They want to show an explosion. I don't know. It'd be interesting to study films and go, okay, well, that worked here, and this one, no, that didn't work.
Well, you think about it too. It's like action movies have now become just excuses to do elaborate car chases or elaborate, explosions. But Aliens, it's because the world is so contained as well, and everything we did, was part of that world, and driven by character. It wasn't driven by just some gratuitous want of exploding shit and, having a fast car. It was all motivated. So I think it's Jim's best movie myself.
I went on a rant a little bit online, not a little bit, a while, when Avatar 2 came out, just talking about James Cameron for people that, because it's like they'll go see a movie like, people will go see a movie like that and it's like, yeah, it was pretty good. And I'm like visually that's the culmination of like human endeavor for filmmaking. And like what Jim Cameron I think has always gotten right is that he gives you a good story. It's not like it's perfect, but it's very good, and the visuals are very good. It's the combination. His casting is very good. It's the combination of all those things, and sometimes it's a long time before he makes the next thing, to where people are kind of betting against him, and he just always shows up and is like, "Oh, in case you forgot, I'm James Cameron." Yeah, I think it might be his best movie too.
Without a doubt, he's a genius filmmaker and a genius. So many stories or rumors about Jim being some sort of wild megalomaniac, but he's not at all. He's done every single job on a film set except acting, and he knows quite with Aliens. Most of all, his butt was on the line.
Yeah,
that movie went over budget a penny. It was on him.
Sure.
And so cost overruns in films is not uncommon. And so he was determined, and he was extremely prepared. I mean, the one anecdote I like to tell is, when in his office at Pinewood Studios was the entire storyboard of the film in sequence going around the room. I mean, it was extraordinary.
That had he drawn it?
He's a very fine artist. Yeah. Yes. It wasn't like stick figures.
Right. No, that's my favorite thing about him is his visual. The fact that he's an illustrator first, and he draw that. The fact that he had painted that painting with Ripley and the Queen and the Loader before, he did that 2 years before you guys start making this movie. He knew exactly what everything needed to look like, and had already kind of worked that out in his brain. And I'm not saying the special effects guys weren't a huge part of that, and that's why it was a success. But he knows what he's doing. Scotty's nudging me because I really want to ask you guys this question about Vasquez and Drake, but it's in that light about talking about visual stuff and as a character designer, from a character design perspective, Drake and Vasquez visually are very fleshed out. I think the most in the movie, right? I have a question for Mark about like, there's this like, I still to this day have no idea what the hell is going on here. It was always interesting to me. You have like this headband thing that you're like wearing in the beginning of the movie, and then it's like on the front of your smart gun. So what was that? Like, what was the story behind that? And was that your idea, or did Jim have that fleshed out already?
No, I don't recall. I wore a headband.
It's
almost like
it almost looks like Native American or something, man. It's like,
yeah. What happened was one day after rehearsal, Jim suddenly announced, "Hey, everybody, pack up your shit and follow me." And he didn't say where we were going. We're just like, "Oh, okay."
Okay.
So we're idly traipsing behind him, and he takes us to the art department, which was this wooden building at Pinewood, this rickety set of wooden stairs. And you go up, and there's this room with paint buckets and baskets full of crap, and there were leather straps, and there were chicken bones, and and Jim said, "Here, personalize your shit."
That's so cool. Okay, I love that actually. What about?
So from my aspect, there happened to be some strips of leather and these chicken bones, and I thought, oh, you know what? I'll take an awl and pierce my hat and have it dangle. It was accessories. It was adornments, you know.
Yeah, I visually it's very interesting, and I've wondered my whole life, like, what the hell is the story behind that? I actually love that that's the story. Jenette, what about you? For Vasquez has tattoos, the headband. Was any of that something that you got to have a say in, or was that already fleshed out?
Oh yeah, no, it like Mark said, we all of us got a say in our characters. I mean, in the script, it had a paragraph about the two of them, and it said that she was a gang member from East LA, and then it said something about, what was it about Drake, that you looked like a farm boy from the Midwest, that sort of, and that we were both serving life sentences in juvenile prison. That's it. Okay, so just, yeah, so from that I got, the tattoo is how many years you've been away, and the headband, the red headband, and then what I wrote on the front of
adios. Hell yeah,
armor.
Man.
Yeah, no, I was doing a lot of kind of reading about gang culture, and there was this poet, this Chicana poet, Cherry Moraga, that I was reading a lot of her poems about the gang girls. And in one of the poems, it said that was some graffiti that was sprayed on a wall. And I was like, wow, I like that. I like that a lot. And it was, it was a poem about, girls and, their dead comrades and, fights and things like that. So I thought I like that. I like that she would do that. So yeah, no, we got to accessorize what we were wearing, and our lockers, the same thing. It's like, this is your locker. Go ahead and put up whatever pictures. I don't know what pictures you had, Mark. I know I had 2 pictures I put up. One was like of my sister and my brother, and I those were put up. I put those up.
My head was in the gutter. They were TNA shots.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It was 1986, man.
I like to say that. I'm sure they were.
And Marines, yeah. That's cool, though. I'm glad they got to do
I had my family in there.
It sounds like such great collaboration with this director. Do you guys find that like on other projects that you guys have done, or is this like kind of a rare thing, like a unicorn?
Well, I mean, Jeanette's been fortunate because she's worked with Jim a number of times. For some odd reason, Jim never hired me again, although he told me that he thought I did a good job. But no, the collaboration, there's so many elements. It's like for us, it was, first really big movie, Jeanette's first movie, Jim Cameron, it was like his breakthrough project, I mean, of course he'd done Terminator, which was, a cult hit, but Stan Winston at the time, brilliant special effects director. And it was that time of our lives where, we were just striking out, and what serendipity that we happened to, be in a film that turned into this classic. But with other directors, maybe.
It depends. Yeah. depends on the director and who they are. I mean, I know, like, as far as collaborating, I mean, I think they would be smart to collaborate with their actors. It's the smart ones, take us as collaborators and not just little pieces to move around. I mean, with Catherine Bigelow, same thing. We got to, figure out what we wanted to wear and how we wanted to do our stuff. But I mean, like I worked on you go into Star Trek, you don't do any collaborating. You put on that uniform.
You're the yeah.
Yeah, they're not getting your input on as far as what you're going to be wearing. But yeah, no, it's unusual to have that much input into wardrobe and the set, because they have that department, and you don't want to step on someone's toes, but I'm sure sometimes you walk in and you go, oh, that's my room. Okay, I got to rework who I am, because that's the kind of office I decorated. Okay,
Yeah, we Scotty talks about that here later. One of the things about just like Aliens, we were discussing that everything copies it after. Like it's one of those films that is like this pop cultural phenomenon that everything borrows from it. Like video games, especially video games. If there's an alien involved in any capacity, there's a game that Ben, the camera guy, and I are playing right now, like a modern game, and there's an alien world on there, and all of the stuff looks like, and now I can't think of the planet in Aliens, but
LV-426.
Yeah, LV-426, like all the buildings and all of that stuff, and it all the pulse rifle from the Halo series, it's all taken from Aliens in these little spots. Video games especially. I see it in other stuff, comics and stuff, but it influenced everything.
It's just had this huge reach.
Yeah. I think the first Alien, I mean, I remember, it's funny, the premiere was at the theater I saw the first Alien at in Westwood, because I'm from Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
And I remember being struck at the vision of what the future was, Ridley Scott's, and it looked exactly like the present, like crappy. It was like a dump truck in space.
Yeah.
And I was like, with these working class guys and girls, and you're like, oh, of course, it's not going to change. The class system is still going to be there. There's still going to be people that have to do the crap. They're going to be laughing with each other and bored of their jobs, and it's not going to be a sparkly, shiny future. And I thought, well, I like that. And so that seems to be repeated. I see it in a lot of different films, that it's a lot of the junk from every single period. And the other thing was the kind of, of course, it was the Giger idea of this weird, kind of organic, yet mixed with mechanical, weird sexual body horror, Cronenberg type of nightmarish alien.
Yeah.
And I read that Cameron put on the alien suit to see like how he could see and like how you could move, because he wanted the suits to be more flexible and for these things to be able to move like they do in the film. Like as opposed to the first one where they barely had to, everything is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one of the coolest things, I actually had been wrapped on the film, but I went back to Pinewood to see the appearance of the Queen Alien.
Yeah.
And talk about like cinematic history. I mean, this puppet, it's a puppet, was like 2 stories high, if not higher, all controlled by pulleys and wires. And the funniest thing about it was the alien head. They had with the smallest special effect guy. I can't remember his name, Jenette, but he was a little blonde-headed guy. You remember him?
Oh, yes.
Do you remember his name? But they had him inside the head, and his soul, he was dressed in black. His sole job was to push alien goo through the Queen's teeth.
Oh, dude. That's a long day.
It's just masterful. It's masterful filmmaking. I mean, no one you never even thought for a second it was a puppet. You believe this was like a living, breathing thing. And I'm telling you, the practical effects in this movie are extraordinary.
Scotty sent me a thing the other night that I've watched. I thought I had watched everything about this film, and he sent me a thing that I had not seen, a behind the scenes thing, and they really talked a lot about the special effects. And you guys, even when you were making it, you guys have some things in there that you say, which is where some of these stories have come from. But I guess I hadn't really realized how shot for shot it was in terms of like, there's nothing after the fact. There was very little done after the fact, at least according to this. They got it in the shot, or like if it's out of the shot, it's because they shot it that way so you wouldn't see it. There wasn't like a cleanup of like pulleys and wires afterwards. What you see is what they actually filmed. That's insane to me.
Yeah, and it talks about Cameron would show them dailies on like, hey, this is what it looks like. If we need to go fix something, we can go fix it real quick. We don't have to come back 3 months from now for reshoots.
And they talked about how motivating that was for the special effects guys too, to see it like, yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant special effects.
And the other thing that Jim did, which is amazing, which I got to see like 15 minutes of, he color corrected this movie frame by frame.
Oh, wow.
Like oftentimes they're doing colorization, they'll just go, yeah, like the first part of the movie and make it more greens, and this Jim was frame by frame. And I remember sitting there and Jim would look at it and he'd go, no, it needs more blue up in the corner there. And I whispered to the engineer, I was like, how long has he been doing this? And he said, we've been here for like over a month. It's like, but that's the genius part of Jim, it's just incredible. Yeah, because you believe this world he created. That's the key to stories working, right? You create a world and everyone believes it.
For sure.
Yep.
Hey, we talked about the responsibility of that, not to make this a Jim Cameron podcast, but just like the stress and pressure in his role is insane to me, but also he's got to steer that the whole time, and he's got to be in charge of that. But then he's also got to know when to yield to someone that knows more about that one specific small thing than he does, so that it's the best that it can be. And to get that right, especially, I mean, I don't know how old he was when he made this film, but still fairly young to do something this monumental.
Ambitious.
Yeah.
He was 30.
30 years old, yeah. I didn't know shit about anything at 30 years old.
Me neither.
Yeah.
But it's interesting too. Like Jim employed certain people, like is it Sid Meeks, who was the futurist who did Blade Runner.
Oh, okay.
And Sid Meeks, like he's a world-renowned futurist, but he designed the Sulaco. And that's the only person I ever saw. We all went to the San Diego for the Comic-Con, and Jim threw this amazing dinner for all of us, and Sid Meeks shows up. And Jim actually got down on a knee and went like this.
Yeah.
Just bowed it. It's extraordinary.
Yeah, that's awesome. It always makes me feel good when people like give the visual guys a little space to do visuals, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
One of the big what ifs in this movie is if there was no Ripley, because the studio wasn't super keen on bringing her back. How does this movie change if it's just you guys and no Ripley?
Well, that would.
You don't think it works?
Well, Jenette, right? Because the film is about mothers and motherhood.
Right. And also, yeah, exactly. I mean, it was an interesting thing is that she goes, in the first one, she becomes the hero takes over the ship and becomes the captain. And, but then it's incredible PTSD. She has to go back. She's forced to go back to face her fears. And then she's forced into this position to save a young girl, which is saving her daughter, who she never got to see again. I mean, that was the part. It was cut out of the film. Oh, they're remaking it, right?
Well, there is a director's cut, yeah, because I didn't know that for years. But the reason, Jenette,
Yes.
the reason I found out is video game nerd stuff. They made a video game called Alien Isolation, and I know both of you guys have done video game work for like voice work and stuff. But that video game Alien Isolation is about Amanda Ripley. It's about Ripley's daughter. The whole game takes place as Ripley's. Anyways, very cool.
There's a film, isn't that what the new Alien? What's it called? The new one that's coming out has to do with her daughter trying to go back into space to find her.
20 minutes?
Oh,
20?
yeah. I didn't know that. I'll have to look that up. That's cool. I hope so.
Are there any directors that have come along since 1986 that you think could have like handled this film? Like maybe like a Del Toro or Denis Villeneuve or.
Well, I was really looking forward to see Neil Blomkamp's version.
Yeah.
Like that's he was was District 9.
Yeah,
is that okay? I took the wrong
yeah,
number.
And I saw the drawings that he did.
Really
yeah,
he was the guy who could do it.
Yeah, they were really close to making that, weren't they?
Yeah, they were, and then something happened, and Ridley Scott took it. I don't know. They stopped it, and then they said, "Oh no, Ridley Scott's going to do the Prometheus and Covenant instead," and things moved on. But yeah, I would have loved to have seen that.
Me too.
Yeah.
Do you guys see any actors that are around right now that could play Drake and Vasquez?
Oh, good. I mean, we've seen a couple of fans who do their cosplay.
Yeah.
That were really amazing. In fact, Jenette, you remember that couple from that Burbank show? And they were spot on. It was amazing. Really impressive.
We've also seen reverse gender too. We've seen guys do Vasquez and a gal do Drake as well.
That's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen a lot of guys play Vasquez. I think that's the coolest thing for me. I always had to pretend to be a little boy when I was a little girl. There's no cool girls to pretend to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
they were waiting.
Honestly, the reaction that Jenette gets around the world, wherever she goes, of women who are like, thank you. You know, being such a badass, and made me believe that I don't have to be demure. I can kick some butt, and it's great to see. That's kind of an iconic duo, right?
It's still.
We had the idea that for us, the next.
What if?
Yeah, what if Bishop cloned Drake and Vasquez back to the point where we went and got the Queen Alien?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
I'd go see that movie.
We should make that movie.
They were having lunch, but they shot it down. They're like, nah, don't think so.
No, that works. They'll make it a game, but maybe they'll bring you guys to voice them. I was saying that I just watched this just to talk about like the legacy of Vasquez, but that was the thing. My girlfriend, like I said, who just saw this movie literally 2 days ago, and she's small like you, Jenette, like 5'2", and she's a therapist, but she was like, where the hell did this lady come from in 1986? Like, you're leading the charge on all the, like, you're the first one out of the APC, well, after APON, but like no one was doing that. Not a woman was doing that in film, certainly not at that time. And it's still like apparent to people now, like seeing it for the first time, like, wow, like nobody was doing this then. This is really cool.
I know, it's kind of crazy. I mean, I just recently a Marine stood up and reminded me that there weren't women in the Marines when the film was released. It happened maybe like 5 years later that they allowed them to be on the field. I don't know what you would call it. But I was like, oh, you're right. Because it was such an obvious mistake that you remember, you go, what? There weren't women here. As long as you can, you go up to the standards and do the job. Sure. And she obviously this character, it was pretty groundbreaking. I mean, I remember, I was trying to think of a strong woman in a film, and I always think of Gloria, John Cassavetes' film, Gloria. Do you know that one?
No, I don't think I've ever seen it. No.
Oh, it's a great movie. She's He's a gangster's girlfriend who ends up protecting this kid whose family is killed by the gangsters because he was stealing money from them, from the mob. And she protects this kid, and anyway, it's great. Gina Rollins.
Gina Rollins, yeah.
Yep, Gina Rollins.
That's
Great
cool.
actress.
Great actress.
I will watch that.
All right. Wrapping up, what's the doggy bag? What are you taking home from Aliens? What is its legacy?
Doggy bag.
Wow.
First taste, remix the ingredients, right?
Yeah.
And what's your take home?
Well, the most extraordinary thing is that this has become multi-generational. People are passing this film on to generations where, they would have forgotten about all the other movies made in the 80s. But yeah, I think it's the fact that you're exhausted by the end of this film. It is such a relentless pace that, and you're probably overwhelmed with just a relief that it's finally over, because you're on the edge of your seat. I mean, literally. Yeah, I mean, my gosh. Imagine if this was a film that, I'm old enough to say that, when I was growing up, Saturday afternoons, they did film day at, the elementary school I went to, right? But we would see Laurel and Hardy or some sort of Tom Mix Western or whatever. And imagine if they had aliens.
Yeah. Everyone's exhausted leaving.
Oh my God. And really, we encounter people like little girls who are 6 and 7, and they're like, I saw you in Aliens. And I said, you've seen the movie? She says, yeah, and I'm not even afraid. It's like, dude.
My grandmother showed it to me.
Oh, did she really?
I'm kind of guilty. I have 4 sons, and I let them watch it early, but it resonated with them. But everything copied you guys from this movie. So by the time most younger people that I know that have watched it, when they go back and watch it, their thing is like, holy shit, I didn't realize this copied this from that movie. That that was the first time you saw every, like I said before, but every spaceship in a sci-fi game is the drop ship in Aliens. Even the lines that the pilot says, we're in the pipe 555, that's in other games that they don't realize where that's borrowed from.
I guess the thing I take away that I've been, we've been doing a bunch of, Comic-Cons lately all over the world, Mark and I, and I love, hearing people's stories. And the one thing that I've heard over and over is that men will tell me that this was when they were a boy, middle school or whatever, this was the one film that they saw with their mother, that their mom and them could sit down and watch together. And as a mother of sons, there is that point, where, and you're like, that's right. You start to split apart from your mom and the sexes, and she watches her movies, and then and this one you're like, you could watch, and I kept hearing that. Yeah, I would watch this I watched it with my mom.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, because it's about mothers and daughters, even the queen alien, she's protecting her children. I mean, that's what it is. And I mean, I love the scene at the end when she's going up the elevator, and it's 2 minutes to blast off, and she's like every mom. She's got the gun on one, her shopping on the other, the kid on her hip. And it just reminds when you're just schlepping everything up, and you're And I was like, yeah, that's the experience. It's like, how dare Hollywood think that women aren't tough? I mean, do you open your eyes? Do you look out into the world and see women carrying screaming children on their hip while they're trying to hail a cab? And I think this is why so many people connect to the film. It's really it's a reflection, even though it's in space and it's with an alien, it's really a reflection of real life.
Yeah, of
people's so yeah.
That when that debate starts up online, whether sometimes I will enter the arena just to say the way that you write strong females, I think, is the women from Aliens. Ripley Vasquez, the pilot, who I'm forgetting her name right now.
Carol.
Yeah, that's right. At no point in that movie do you believe that they need saved by any of the men in the film, but they also don't. Ripley never one time sacrifices her feminism. Like, you never doubt that she's a mother the entire time. She just shows up for the job that is called for right then. Same with Vasquez. Like, you don't. Anyways, I agree with you 100%. I think that's the big takeaway.
There's no patronizing, like, ooh, all that. I mean, the one time there's tries to be patronizing is, have you ever been mistaken for a man? And she shuts it down.
Yeah, she makes such a joke.
That's like one of the best lines in the movie. Yeah.
Is that the one people say to you most, Jenette, when they recognize you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I was going to ask that. What about you, Mark? Did people have like a line that they say to you?
Oh, yeah. A lot of the military guys are saying, hey, I love they ain't paying us enough for this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
That's awesome.
My friend Travis was doing, the Comic-Con in Amarillo, and when I saw that you guys were going to be there, like, I got tickets for it, and a lot of times when you meet somebody that you admire their work, I mean, sometimes they can turn into a jerk or whatever for whatever reason. But you guys were so nice. You guys were so nice at the convention. You guys were so nice at the dinner. You guys were just like amazing. So I just want to thank you and thank you for how you are with your fans.
Oh, no, it was our pleasure. And really, the way you all treated us in Amarillo was just above and beyond. I mean, it was so fantastic and really good energy. We had a great time sitting with you all at dinner, and it was a lovely event. It's really great. And hey, we saw the Cadillac Ranch, man.
Yeah. We have when we drove through there, we did in graffiti mac and cheese movies on one of the cars. So we have a picture of that, like for this podcast. Cool. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, that was a really fun con.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, very, very generous people.
I just love that. Like, I've said it 5 times. I just love that you guys are like no shit friends. Like, that's gonna be I think that's gonna be the biggest thing for everyone that I know. Like, they're really friends. Like, that's amazing to me.
Yeah, but it's unique because it's the only film in my entire career where all of us. It's not just me and Jenette.
Right.
It's all of us.
Yeah.
No other film. You always get the, hey, yeah, man, we'll get together. We'll meet for lunch, or it's all BS.
Not real.
Yeah, and of course, we all miss Bill Paxton not being around. He was really the glue of our crew, and Al Matthews. It's like great group of people, and and committed artists and actors, and I mean, what an occasion. Who the hell knew? It's like they say in Hollywood, like, nobody knows anything. Like, nobody knows.
It's true.
Yeah.
Nobody knows anything. I mean, you just come off of Revolution, and that was supposed to be the biggest film, and oh my God, it's Pacino, and and it's gone, and that's how.
That.
Yeah, but you just it's out of your hands. You just move on to the next one. You just never know. So yeah, it's great. We get to see each other, through this crazy fan world, it's lovely. It's really lovely. It's really a gift.
And and Jim Cameron, like at this dinner we did at San Diego, he said it to all of us. I mean, he was really thanking all of us just for being a part of it and being so creative. But he said, I never had any idea that this would turn into what it is. It's kind of like Shawshank.
Sure.
We had no idea, except in both instances. You knew it was a great script. You knew that. I mean, honestly, Shawshank and Aliens, top 5 on the palm of my hand. It's like,
yeah,
great writing. Then it's the execution.
Yeah.
And Jim's the real general, and that's why you got it done.
Hell yeah.
Exactly.
Lives forever.
Thank you, Mark and Jenette, for being on the show. Come back anytime. Do you guys have anything coming up that you want to promote?
Yeah, I've got a couple things. I'm appearing on this Bosch Legacy Amazon Plus show, but in October, I can now announce I'm part of a virtual reality game, which is Batman.
Oh, yeah. I didn't talk much about it.
I play Commissioner Gordon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and it's fascinating. I mean, it's bound to turn the gaming world on its head because the technology. Well, the crazy part is that the player is Batman.
It's the new Arkham. It's the next Arkham thing, right?
Yeah.
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 That's awesome.
And it's gonna blow people's minds. AI is here. It's already happening. It's like, you know, it's funny when you hear people in Congress. Well, what do we have to do to, you know? It's like, dude,
left the
court. I mean, it's taken off.
Yeah.
I mean, I was dubbing a French film, first time they've ever done it, where they filmed me when I was dubbing, and they isolate my lip movements and then superimpose my lip movements for American English onto the original French actor. So it's becomes seamless dubbing.
That's cool.
Blew my mind. It's like, you're going to do what? It's, yeah.
AI is going to change everything, the next 5 years for sure.
That's a whole bunch of Cronenberg right there.
For real. Amazing.
So me, I'm pretty much retired from acting, but I have 3 stores, actually 3 in Los Angeles, 2 in Atlanta. So it's called Jenette Bras, and it's a bra fitting and swimwear boutique. So any women out there, when you come to Los Angeles or Atlanta, go to a Jenette Bras for the best bra fitting of your life.
I was telling my girl about that.
How did you get involved with this?
Well, it's actually, there is a Comic-Con connection. I was doing, I know, it's kind of crazy. So actually the tagline of the business is the alphabet starts at D.
Yeah. The website's really cool.
And we specialize in beautiful, beautiful pieces for women who are curvy. I was at a Comic-Con outside of London doing autographs, and it was in a mall, in one of these huge malls. And there was a store that was specialized in D cup and above. And on my lunch break, I went there, and my mind was blown. I'd never seen these brands. I could not understand why no one had thought of opening a store like this in Los Angeles and importing these brands that were only in Europe at this time. Just got home, and my husband said, I don't know, why don't we do it? We had no idea what to do, how to do it, and just started from scratch. And it's just, things sort of took off and opened. The Wall Street Journal covered us, and we opened a second, opened a third, opened a fourth. And so this is it's been 15 years.
Wow.
That I've been a entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And it was through a Comic-Con.
That's awesome.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
Nerds, man. We get it done.
Jeanette says an entrepreneur. She's a mogul.
Yeah. For sure.
The bra mogul.
Bra mogul. Yeah.
Our battery's going to go out. Ben says we only have a few minutes left.
All right.
So we'll take us out, and maybe you'll do like a promo for us real quick. But if you want to listen to more episodes, you can find them on all major platforms. Like, subscribe, take off and nuke the site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
All right, so we better go before they cut the power.
What do you mean they cut the power, man? They're animals.
Mac and cheese out.